Hi, I'm Natalie Ledwell, and today I want to share with you how to use the law of attraction to overcome obstacles in your life. Now, have you ever asked yourself, is this just how life is? When does it get better? Does it get better? I mean, I know I have. The first time was in 2008, when I was in over $120,000 in credit card debt, struggling with my weight, mentally exhausted, and feeling suffocated. The second time wasn't too long ago, when my marriage of 18 years fell down and I was going through the disappointment, the grief, and the uncertainty of a breakup. Now, thankfully, I was able to overcome obstacles like this by learning about my limiting beliefs, by learning about my triggers, my hot buttons, why I reacted the way I did to certain things, which had been buried deep in my subconscious mind for decades. Now, it took some work, but I rebounded from these downfalls. And guess what? I came back stronger and happier and better and faster and better than I did before. Now, big or small, we all go through adversity in life. And overcoming adversity is a topic that I'm frequently asked about by my students in the Ultimate Success Masterclass. So I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to share some of the frequently asked questions regarding this topic and my personal answers, which hopefully will shed some light for you today. So question number 1 says, Dear Natalie, I was hoping that you might share some of the tools that you use to keep your positive state while going through a tough time in your life, which in my case is my divorce. Sometimes it's helpful to know what methods leaders like you have used to keep themselves on track when dealing with the negatives that come up in life. Can you help me? Yes, so I want to share a little story about what happened after the breakdown of my marriage. So Glenn and I had been married for 18 years. We had, the last couple of years, I realized there was a lot of resentment coming up for me. We were growing apart. We got to the point where we go to dinner and we didn't have anything to say to each other. And we'd talk about it, but we just never seemed to be able to get to any resolution because all we were doing is talking about the symptoms. We weren't actually talking about what was happening underneath. And we didn't have the capacity to do that. So, and also that was a time when I was blaming Glenn for everything. It was his fault I couldn't shine. It was his fault I was carrying weight. It was his fault for everything. It was his fault that I was unhappy. So, of course, when we separated and I lost my scapegoat, I realized that all of my unhappiness, everything that was showing up in my life, all the results I had were really actually my responsibility. So the first thing I did when we broke up was ask the question, what was my role in the demise of my marriage? How did I show up in that? And if I'm going to take responsibility for all of these things, how do I make a difference in my life? And so the other thing that I really did was the first week when we broke up and I'm feeling really upset and grieving and crying and walking out in the mornings, I was listening to a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And there was one thing that really rang true for me that week. And it's like, this is a moment in time. And it's one moment out of millions of moments that I will get to experience in my life. Now, I can't change this moment. This moment is what it is. What I actually have control over is how I respond and how long I allow it to affect me moving forward. Then I had to figure out, well, what is it that I do want? And what I did want was to maintain a relationship with Glenn. I wanted us to still be friends. I wanted us to still be business partners. I wanted us to maintain the My Movies community that we had created together. And so when we were, talking and working out with each other, we both decided as a couple to make sure that we always operated from a place of kindness and compassion and love and trust and respect, which we still do to this day. That's why I say that our relationship is not over, it's just different. And even though Glenn had met somebody else, which was the catalyst or the event that happened that started our separation, it wasn't the reason that we separated. And I came to realize that very quickly. I took responsibility for how I showed up in the demise of my marriage. I did that very quickly. And then it meant that it could open up some conversations between Glenn and I that were real and honest and that I didn't have the capacity to be able to have when we were married, which means that we have a really incredible, enriched and awesome relationship now. So there are some of the tools I did. Take responsibility for myself, realize this is just a moment, choose how I want to respond and how long I'm going to allow these things to affect me moving forward, and then always operate from a place of kindness, love, compassion, respect. Okay? So question number 2. Hi, Natalie. I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around the power of the law of attraction considering external circumstances and hardships. So for example, someone in a third world country can dream, feel, have, be, visualize, etc., and still may never be given an opportunity to get out of their circumstances. I even think of people who were forced into slavery and certain groups of people that are excluded from opportunities due to prejudice. On the other hand, there are some that look and fit a certain acceptable standard. Seems like they were given opportunities regardless of their knowledge or expertise or belief system. Do I have a flawed way of thinking, or can the law of attraction work for anyone in any circumstance? So the answer to this question is the law of attraction is working all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. Now, I know that there are some people that are born into different parts of the world who don't seem to have the opportunities that we have. And it's really interesting because sometimes we go, well, don't they want a car? Don't they want to, all these different things? And it's really interesting. After the work that I did in Liberia, and I continue to do in Liberia, in Africa, yes, they have dreams and they have goals. And of course, the children's curriculum that we're doing a pilot program there are really helping children to tap into their dreams and their goals and what they want for their future and helping them to believe that they can make it happen. Now, the thing is, what they want is not necessarily what we want. What they want is they look at what their possible choices are around them and they choose from that. Now, what we also need to remember that in third world countries, most people have access to the internet. So now, for the first time in countries that we consider, third world countries, they do have access to be able to start to expand what it is that they believe that they can achieve. Now, I think before, because of their environment, their goals were only what they thought they could achieve, but now they understand that there's bigger possibilities. And the internet has opened up the world to them. So when we're in there doing personal growth work with the children and with the teachers and with the communities there, people are really embracing it and they're really starting to make a change. They are feeling happier, they are feeling more connected with their community, and they're having a better quality of life. And they're choosing this and they're creating this for themselves. Now, in saying that, there are also people that are born in the Western world who have all of these opportunities at their disposal and never make any kind of, advantage of all of it. So I believe that when it comes to what it is that we want to achieve and believe, that we all have the ability to do that. And there are so many stories of people who were born in Africa that have made it to the US or to Australia or Canada and created incredible lives for themselves. There are, stories of refugees and people from places all over the world that have come from the most atrocious and terrible things that a human being should ever have to witness, and yet still have the next chapter in their life where they're able to create what it is that they want. So yes, I think that sometimes we look at these situations and think, well, they don't have what we have. But the thing is, what they have, they're happy with. And what they have, they can expand upon. And that when they're given the right tools and the right way to think and given the environment in which they can do that, they can make a difference for themselves. Now, your feedback and your opinion is very valuable to me. So please share your ideas, your questions or thoughts on anything I've said, even your suggestions in the comment box below. So make sure that you do that, okay? So question number three says, Natalie, every morning I start my day fueled and motivated, but at the end, often feel unaccomplished and a little fearful and uneasy. How can I keep my motivation going despite my daily life challenges? Okay, so this is a fairly easy question to answer. Maybe we have some, great morning practices that are giving us a good foundation to the day, but then as the day goes on, we start to get beaten down. We get to the end of the day, we're exhausted, we're like, what's it all mean? Where are we going? And we can feel quite dejected. So when you're feeling in places like that, remember, this is a low frequency emotion. We want to get into that higher frequency emotion. So rather than looking at all the things that were struggling for the day, all the things that were a challenge, all the things that went wrong, start to focus on even the smallest of things that went right. What was good about your day? Did you have like a really great cup of coffee in the morning that really gave you the energy to get through your morning? Did you have a great conversation with a coworker? Did you read a good book? Did you see something that inspired you, a meme on Facebook, anything? Look at anything that's going right and focus on that. Be grateful for the small mercies. Be grateful for the big blessings. Focus on what went right, what your wins were. And the more that you do that and get into a practice in the evening of this little positive injection of positivity into your evenings, it's going to help to shift your energy so that you're focusing on the good. It also sets you up so that you can be clear about what it is that you want to do for the next day, and you're already focusing on it from a positive energy. Okay? All right, question number 4 says, lately, I've noticed myself getting uncomfortable with my recent changes at my work and my daily life. I'm in my late 50s, and all of a sudden I'm struggling to overcome this unexpected resistance to change. I am aware that this might be my brain's way of keeping me safe, yet how can I embrace the change and remain focused on my goals instead of wanting to disconnect from it all out of fear? Ooh, great question. So whenever we have a lot of people starting in the Ultimate Success Masterclass, and the first couple of modules, setting intentions and getting into a happy place, and we're getting on this bit of a high, and then sometimes it kind of comes, and then there's a bit of a crash afterwards. You're like, why do I feel so bad? I was feeling so amazing, and now I'm not feeling so good. What's going on? So there's a couple of things that are going on. First of all, we're challenging the beliefs and the thoughts and the practices and the patterns that we have adopted for 50 years. We have to overcome 50 years of conditioning. Now that's going to be tough. Our subconscious mind wants to keep us safe. It wants us to believe that these beliefs that are not true about ourselves, about how we don't deserve wealth and how we, will never be loved and we're not worthy, how these are our truths, and it's hanging on for dear life, and it's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at us to help us feel, to doubt ourselves and to feel, like uncomfortable. The other thing that's going on is that, all of those negative thoughts that we've been thinking for 50 years also, all have a specific emotion attached to them. Now, each emotion that we feel has a specific chemical attached to it. So when we are used to feeling these feelings of helplessness and frustration and dejection and whatever that is, our cells of our body are addicted to those chemicals. So we come along, we want to start feeling grateful, we want to start feeling happy, and we do for a while, and we're thinking, this is amazing. But the cells in our body are going, wait a minute, I'm addicted to that other chemical. I don't want this chemical, I want that other one. And so we have this really unusual feeling coming through our body. Now, between challenging our limiting beliefs and challenging the cells in our body and their addiction, this is when doubts and fears come in. All I can say to you is keep moving forward, a day at a time. Now, if you keep your on the prize and you keep moving forward, when you're feeling in these low emotions, go out, get yourself into a little visualization of feeling what it's like to get to the end result. Focus on your gratitudes, focus on the wins. Do anything you can to get yourself into that higher frequency so that you dissipate the fear. Because believe me, we all feel fear. All the successful people feel fear. The reason that we're successful is because we don't stay there. We keep moving forward one step at a time. We don't look at the mountain, we just look at the next step. And that's what keeps us going. Okay, question number 5. Dear Natalie, how can I manifest abundance in my life when I'm living on a survival income? Ooh, okay, this is great. I love this question because the thing is, when we're in the stress and anxiety of only living like from paycheck to paycheck, then we cannot see solutions from that place. We have to emotionally, physically, mentally get ourselves out of that situation. So you do that by having these little dress rehearsals of what it is that you do want in your mind. Sit in your visualizations. See yourself already in this place. Then when you do that, ask the question, well, what's my next step? How do I get there? What am I doing? And stay quiet long enough for insight and inspiration to come through. Whenever you're in that quiet space and you ask that question, an answer will always come through. Now, it may be something that scares you, it may be something that surprises you, but if you trust that voice and you take action on those ideas that come through to you, I guarantee you that you will make positive changes in your life, and within a very short period of time, you will be out of your survival income. So make sure that you do that as a daily practice. Take your little vacations in your mind out of your current situation, and the more that you hang in that beautiful future of yours, the easier that you open up the floodgates of manifestation for everything that you need to make that your reality to come to you. Now, did you enjoy this video? Do you have any other tips or questions about the law of attraction and how you use the law of attraction to overcome life's obstacles? If you do, please share them here in the comment box below and I'll make sure that I reply. And don't forget to subscribe to the Mind Movers YouTube channel for more videos on personal growth and the law of attraction. My name is Natalie Ledwell. Thank you for watching and bye for now.